Fans the world over, stemming from all different kinds of fandoms, continue to be upset over showrunners putting diversity, inclusion, representation before faithfulness to the source material. And then what happens is, inevitably, people out there write these long, intellectual sounding articles, presenting arguments and quote unquote evidence proving why they are right. These have been these individual cases. We've got, what have we got? Rings of Power now, Mermaid, She-Hulk. I mean, it's like non-stop barrage of content on YouTube now talking about this stuff, digging into it, into every little facet of it here. I thought this was a really interesting article because it reminded me of something that I think relates to what we're doing in comic books, in Comicsgate specifically. Here's an article that came out a couple of weeks ago that says, a racist backlash to Rings of Power puts Tolkien's legacy into focus. The Lord of the Rings series' inclusive casting has sparked social media vitriol from those who insist J.R.R. Tolkien intended Middle-earth to be populated by white characters only. Yet this belief is not only faulty, it misses the spirit of the author entirely. And these are the articles that just have been barraged onto us over the last couple of weeks. I gotta bring you down to, where is it? This part here is the funniest part here. A wealth of stories and willingness to believe in wizards, balrogs, giant spiders, and magical swords, but allow people of color to exist in Middle-earth? Well, that's an affront to all that's good and decent. At least that's the primary argument from those ruinous trolls apparently review bombing and harassing fans of color over Amazon Rings of... I'm sorry. I had to read that out. Fans of color. This is what we're descending to now. We've gone beyond just people of color, creators of color. We're now getting down to fans of color. Do they ever stop? Do they ever stop, look over each other and say, are we the baddies? Is all this dissecting people down into race and sexuality and gender, is this a healthy, good way to approach things, approach entertainment? And as I said, as I said earlier, you know, they start presenting evidence. It becomes very intellectual. We're going to hit you with these arguments here. What does it say here? The most common refrain is that Tolkien didn't include people of color in his stories. Not only is this untrue, as Harfoots are described as having browner skin, but Tolkien didn't often make the point to describe skin color at all, though he occasionally leaned on the open-ended fairer than. We even get into DNA. For the first Britons, Cheddarman, 1,000-year-old skeletons. I don't know if DNA was a big thing going around when Tolkien when Tolkien was writing his book. I think it goes on to say somewhere that Tolkien was an avid anti-racist. There it is, right down there. A notable anti-racist, using these words, couching it in a thing that, like, oh, Tolkien was with us, with our super progressive sensibilities that we hold now as progressives in 2022. This guy who was, you know, living, when did Tolkien live? Surely it must be 100 years ago or something. He was writing these things, and all this is. You remember Orkgate? You know, this is like, oh no, hey, Lord of the Rings, we've heard this before. Lord of the Rings was always woke, don't you know? But you remember Orkgate? They were fighting, people were saying Lord of the Rings has always been racist. I actually made a video on it here. Check this out.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys!
I am so sorry. I promise we don't all think you're like that.
What the fuck?
Look, they create this argument. They make the presumption that they're right. There's no debate. This isn't a two-way conversation. It's like, this is it. We're right. So anyone who is upset with what we're doing with this franchise, the only possible reason must be racism. That's it. And then, of course, if anyone is critiquing it or maybe giving it a bad review, that's not critiquing it or giving it a bad review. That's review bombing. That's the new thing. It's like, oh, the racists will come out anytime they'll see a black character in a show. They'll come out in force and they'll downvote everything. And no amount of actual evidence, real evidence, will prove them wrong. Here's a tweet about House of Dragon. You can see here it's got a pretty equal, actually, critic and audience review scores around 85-84%. There's a black guy right here who I think is race swapped. I'm pretty sure. Don't hold me on that, but I'm pretty sure he is actually race swapped. He's there, and they're maintaining an 84% audience review. Here's the Rings of Power, 85% critics, 39% audience rating. So this is a review bombing, but this isn't. Why? What's going on here? That's the thing. Like, no amount of evidence to the contrary will ever convince them. Let me go back to the article here because I got to go down to the bottom. It is hilarious. Where is it here? The easy answer, at least on Twitter, is to block. Trust me, I've blocked hundreds, but it does little to quell the noise. So let's make a little noise back. Stingers aglow, all sorts of trolls, orcs and goblins are afoot, but they shall not pass. I refuse to be told that I can't be part of this world I love, and urge others facing the barbs arrows to do the same. Is anyone telling anyone this? What this is what I'm saying. They're making up their own arguments in their head and saying this is it. This is how it is. You can't say it's any different. And on top of that, it's like, if anyone does say any difference, block, close the eyes, fingers in the ears, la 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 la. I don't want to hear anything. But then they actually go on to betray everything that they've said in this whole article, because we've occupied Middle Earth now, and we exist, and we're not leaving. The language being used there. Well, you're an occupying force. Hang on, wait. I thought you said Lord of the Rings was always diverse. I'm confused here. What's the message of this article? I tell you what I get from this. When I saw this, I thought, oh, okay. I heard fans no longer have to be your audience. Fans are over. Sounds very familiar. I know it does.
It's been called that before, but not by you.
If we go back here to this article, from when was this written? Let's go in the Wayback Machine, 2014. Infamous article. Gamers don't have to be your audience. Gamers are over. This was the media. It was a massive barrage of articles. This was the media's coordinated hit back against any critique of video game journalism that sparked off the entire Gamergate thing. They're blaming Trump. They're blaming Gamergate for Trump. Everything goes back to this point right here. Gamers don't have to be the audience. Gamers are over. That's how I hear it. Fans are over. Fans don't have to be your audience. There's a whole other audiences out there, diverse, inclusive, represented audiences, just waiting to be represented. Don't worry about what the fans say, that, oh, this has nothing, this isn't true enough to the source material. That's not their real argument. Their real argument is they're racist and they hate seeing anyone who doesn't look exactly like them represented on their screen. This is Comicsgate. You guys might, depending on where you're coming from watching this video, you might not be aware, but Comicsgate was a similar-ish thing to Gamergate that happened where, way back when, 5 years ago, a bunch of YouTube critics got together and said, we don't like the direction that these comics are going. We don't like the quality. We think you're starting to push too much agenda into our books. Sound familiar? And, the industry said, well, if you don't like it, go and make your own. Well, we did. 400 books later, coming up to 500, and now they're using the same tactics, the same smoke screen tactics. The only reason that these comics gators are upset is because they're actually bigots and racists and homophobes and all that sort of stuff. It's not because anything of the things that they said that they're critiquing. No, it's what we say it is. We've made the argument. It's not up for debate, and the only explanation is they must be racists. The same thing is happening now. Like, this is all over YouTube at the moment, all over Twitter, is this Mermaid movie. God, these god awful live action remakes, or why are they even happening? And they made the Little Mermaid black. Here's Linda Carter. Is is Linda Carter who I think it is? Is that like, didn't she play Wonder Woman or something? I can't remember who. Forgive me. People are mad that Little Mermaid is black. The lady who is also a fish who lives under the sea, whose best friend is a talking crab. This is not the argument. You see. I wrote, people aren't upset about a mermaid. No one cares about a mermaid. No one who cares about Little Mermaid. They're noticing. What they're doing is they're noticing that diversity and inclusion, quote unquote, representation, it only ever flows one way. And they're piecing together all the little pieces of sand that have made it this giant mound over the last 10, 15 years. And they're beginning to see the agenda behind it. I was shared this the other day by a friend, and I think this is really sort of cracking the code of what's going on here. Why do they continue doing this? What is the purpose? I mean, we know the sort of agenda behind it, and if you aren't aware of the agenda, open your eyes. But why do they keep doing this when it always creates so much controversy and stirring up? Thala Siren, who's using this word fan baiting, which I love. It's a form of marketing used by producers, film studios, actors with the intent of exciting artificial controversy, garnering publicity, and explaining away the negative reviews of a new and often highly anticipated production. Oh my God, speaking right to me here. Fan baiting emerged as a marketing strategy in 2016-17 after fans of beloved franchises such as Ghostbusters, Star Wars objected to what they saw as poor writing choices, sloppy, how familiar does this sound, and cheap alterations to plot lines and characters for the sake of shock value. Alongside these critics, now this is the important part, there's a small group of bigoted but vociferous commentators who objected to the inclusion of black and female actors in the roles traditionally held by male actors. They're out there. They're minuscule. That's the point. There are people like, I don't want to see any black characters anywhere. I don't want to see any female characters in a leading role. But the people who say this is so minuscule out there, and a lot of them are probably bots or like a controlled opposition. They're not the main swell of criticism that's coming out. But what these people do is they pluck those tiny, small, more aggressive critics who actually might be racist, who knows, and then amplify that and say, like, that's what this is all about. Not these other not fans who are saying, hey, can we just get a representation on the screen that looks somewhat close to what we loved in the books, what made this franchise popular in the first place? And then some of these individuals began publicly harassing actors. This happened in Gamergate. It happened in Comicsgate. Some rando Twitter account that no one knows who they are. They say some spicy comment to some actor. That out of everything gets amplified up, and that becomes the argument that they're arguing against. Bigots have always attacked diversity on the screen, but in a highly polarized and political climate, instances of harassment garnered disproportionately massive media coverage. This is it. They amplify it, which provided production studios with both free publicity and a new defense against actual critics. That's it. We don't have to listen to anything you have to say because you're an ist, you're a phobe, you're in the same camp as this person that we've plucked out and attached to you. Studios seized the opportunity to discredit criticism of poor writing and acting, insinuating that these too were motivated by bigotry. I'll speak in my language here. What used to be accepted as standard critiques are often were increasingly dismissed as part of an ignorant commentary of toxic fandom. We don't need the fans anymore. The fans are toxic. Get rid of them. Soon, it became standard practice before release to issue announcements specifying diverse casting choices. In my view, the productions that do this, that put this all out before there's any content to even consume, look at Mermaids, look at She-Hulk, look at the Rings of Power, they're all subpar things. The studios know they're garbage. They know they're gonna have to drum up some controversy to get people to watch these things. Like this, it's so obvious to see, coupled with preemptive declarations of solidarity with the cast whom they have now counted on to receive disparaging and harassing comments. Actors who are women and or, I refuse to say this garbage, become props and shields from craven and corporate laziness and opportunism. The studios save money both avoiding expensive veteran writers. It's just, I mean, I keep stopping because this is like Comicsgate in a nutshell. They get rid of these legends, and they want to bring in the new person who hasn't written anything, but because they've got the right skin color or the right haircut, or they sleep with the right people, even though they can't write worth a damn. Anyway, as well, offloading publicity to news outlets and social media, covering artificial controversy. Fan baiting works. It brings in new sympathetic audiences whose endorsement is more about taking a public stance against prejudice that they manufactured than any real interest in the art. Fan baiting also permits studios to cultivate public skepticism over the legitimacy of poor reviews. There you go. Fan baiting also compels reviewers to temper their criticism for fear of becoming associated with the toxic fandom. Oh my God. Comicsgate. And losing their professional credibility, resulting in telling discrepancies between critic and audience review scores. The true nature of fan baiting is never so clear as Sorry, let me start again. The true nature of fan baiting is never so clear as when a script is well crafted and audience reviews are accordingly positive, exposing the announcements, declarations of solidarity, and grooming of skepticism for what they really are: cynical corporate marketing tactics. Put another way, media corporations have found a way to monetize the racism that they set their actors up to receive. Bam. And again, when we say the racism, minuscule, weirdo, trolly, probably bot accounts, probably controlled opposition from that side. I didn't see it anywhere. Yeah, the people accuse Comicsgate of being racist and bigots. I've never seen it anywhere, and I've interacted with hundreds and hundreds, potentially thousands of people. Now, I haven't seen it. Where is it? It's like this guy over there. Don't know who that is. Never seen him before. That sort of stuff. I mean, that explains so much. Does it even work, though, in a sense of making them money? I mean, it gets them publicity. Does it actually work? Here's a tweet. This is a bloodbath for Amazon. 4.8 million from House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon did not do that whole, before we've even seen anything, here's how diverse our casts are. I didn't see them do that marketing at all. 4.8 million viewers, households, sorry. And the debut episode of Rings of Power, 1.8. Oof. Keep in mind that they spent $1 billion on this thing. Crazy. Guys, you don't have to put up with this. We don't have to put up with these tactics. They can use all the words they want. They can use all these dirty tactics they want. Words not violence. They have no power to hurt you or harm you, only the power that you give to them. And we are going to take the power back, put it back into our own hands. That's what we're doing over here in Comicsgate. This is a website called CG Now. Here's a slew of CG titles, books. There's getting close to like 80 books on here that are available to purchase right now. Here's mine right here. Yeah, so go and check it out. There are other things happening out there. You don't have to fall into the trap. Don't have to be baited, fan baited, and give these people money. These people that hate you. You can give independent, creator-owned people, IPs, franchises, your money. People that deserve it so much better. People that actually put the art before anything else. No agenda, agenda free. That's all we ask for. That is all we ask for. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. What else? Subscribe to the channel, consider becoming a member, and please do also consider signing up for Painted Dead. That's my upcoming graphic novel. That's it from me. I will see you next time. All right, bye.